This is the T598 direct axial drive steering wheel from Thrustmaster, and this is a noob. But is it worth him spending his hard-earned bucks on this piece of equipment? Well, let's find out. Just as we get the video started, I'd like to point out a couple of things. Firstly, I don't work for Thrustmaster, and this video is not paid for by them or endorsed by them. It is completely me. I bought the T598 by my own choice, bought and paid for with my own money, and the opinions I'm going to give are mine and mine alone. The other point is, this is not going to be an in-depth technical review of the T598. There are videos out there that do it much better than I could. This video is aimed at people like myself who are taking their first steps into sim racing with a steering wheel, or maybe those who are just moving up to their first direct drive, or in this case direct axial drive steering wheels. And so my explanations and my expectations are going to be that of people the same as me. Now, as we get into it, the first thing you'll notice with the T598 is the shape and size of the wheelbase. Unlike direct drive units that we have come to get used to, it is not long and shallow. It is quite the opposite. It is short and much taller. And that is because of the orientation of the motor and magnets within the wheelbase. Now, quite simply, normally they are placed in a horizontal long ways position, whereas now with Thrustmaster's direct axial drive they are in a upright position, and that has the effect of reducing, in fact according to Thrustmaster, completely eliminating the problem of cogging. And to put that in very simple terms, now the best way to think of cogging is like the second hands on a watch. Every time it moves just a little bit, and then stops and moves and stops and moves. Now, the direct axial drive that the T598 uses doesn't have cogging. Instead of moving in increments, it moves freely, 360 degrees, all the way around. Now, depending who you talk to within the industry, direct axial drive is the way forward for sim racing steering wheels, but I guess only time will tell on that one. Now, for matters possibly more relevant to normal drivers like yourself and like me, for example, are you restricted to the one steering wheel? Well, the answer is no, because the T598 has a quick release system, and if you just quickly release the lever at the back, the wheel comes straight off, and just as easily put it back on, slide it into the slot, put the lever down, and you are good to go again. As for the quality of the steering wheel, well, that seems to be a little bit of a mixed bag depending which reviewer you listen to. Some have said it's great, some have said it feels really cheap. Now, I've only used this for a couple of days and driven with it for a couple of days, but I'll be honest, I didn't feel or have any problems with it. At the end of the day, this is not a £3,000 steering wheel. It's not even a £3,000 complete system. So what you get is kind of what you pay for, but it did the job. It looks nice, it's aesthetically pleasing with red and the black, and it felt comfortable to use. There's some nice rubber parts around the outside which were very comfortable, and at least for me, my hands seemed to fit those very well, even on, for example, this week's one air endurance races on Gran Turismo. After the hour had finished, I still felt okay, so I actually quite like the steering wheel. I think it's fine. As for controls on the actual steering wheel itself, well, there's no shortage of them. In fact, every single button that you'll find on your controller, you'll find here on the steering wheel. My only slight niggle is that the R3 and L3 buttons are at the back. Apart from that, it's all good. And one of the things I do really love about this particular wheel is the gear paddles, which are not only metal, which is nice for a change, but hopefully you'll be able to hear this. You get a really satisfying click that you can both hear and feel due to the fact they are magnetic. I like that. And lastly, we come to the pedals. Now, I can already hear a lot of you out there screaming, Phantax, they look just like the Phantax pedals. Well, yes, they do to a certain degree. They also look like a lot of pedals from a lot of other wheel manufacturers. And there's a good reason for that. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. That layout, that design of pedals works very well. And the Thrustmaster pedals are now different. They follow a tried and tested method that works very well, and so do their pedals. The construction is very sturdy, very sturdy. Apart from the actual foot plate that your foot rests up against, the whole thing is metal and it feels very strong. I pressed the brake pedal as hard as I could just to try and see if I could get them to move or to give it all, and they didn't. In fact, my seat started to flex before the pedals did, so you needn't worry about giving it some welly on the old brake pedal. You're not going to hurt them. As for the actual design, both the brake pedal and the accelerator pedal have a series of notches at the back that you can fix the spring to, which will allow you to have different amounts of resistance depending how hard or how soft you want to press those pedals. The brake pedal also comes with two different springs, a softer one and a firmer one, so you can get even more choices and the amount of resistance you want to feel under the brakes. Now, there is not a load cell on this setup, at least not yet. Thrustmaster, I've already said, there is definitely a load cell upgrade going to be coming out for these pedals next year. So, for those of you that like using a load cell, don't worry, Thrustmaster's got you covered. And so, let's wrap it up with a summary, shall we? I suppose we may as well start with what will be the deciding factor for a lot of people, the price. Now, this, for the whole kit, comes in at just £449. When you consider that its nearest rival is £150 more than that, you realise what a bargain this really is. Now, quality. And we'll split this into two sections. First of all, quality of build. And I actually think it is really good. Yes, some people have complained about the steering wheel, that it doesn't have real leather on it and it doesn't have carbon fibre bits. But as I said earlier in this video, this is not a £3,000 steering wheel. Hell, the whole kit doesn't cost £3,000. For what you pay, I think Thrustmaster have provided a great build quality that feels good, feels comfortable to use and is sturdy. I don't really see what more you could want. Now, as for quality of use, for this I'm going to reference other sim racers, A+ drivers that have been sim racing a lot longer than I have, and I have heard them say that the feeling you get from this wheel, the feedback you get from it, the way that the force feedback gives you the information is every bit as good as you would expect to get from equipment that costs a lot more. Not much more to say on that really, is there? And I guess it comes down to my recommendation. Would I recommend that you buy the T598? Well, at the start of the video, as I said, I paid for this with my own money and I don't regret spending a single penny of it. It is nice to use, it is nice to look at, it is fun to use, and that, at least for me, is probably more important than any other of the topics we've looked at in this video. It's enjoyable, it was a worthwhile investment, and would I recommend you get one? If you are looking at getting your first direct drive wheel, or even your first wheel full stop, yes, I would very much recommend you have a look at the T598 from Thrustmaster. It is a great piece of kit. Now, If you are interested in one of these or any of other Thrustmaster's products, you'll find a link down below in my description. Please use that, go and have a look. But just before you do that, just remember to hit those like and subscribe buttons, would you please, because it does really help out the channel. And I will see you guys in my next video. For more great videos like this one, follow this link. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.